life happens. Events unfold around us constantly. Often, it is not the event itself that causes us the most distress. It is the story we tell ourselves about that event. This internal narrative shapes our feelings. We might not always realize we are doing it. It can feel automatic, like the event, the feeling. But there is a space between stimulus and response. Think about a time you felt a strong emotion. Was it anger, sadness, or fear? Now try to remember the thoughts that came with it. What were you telling yourself about the situation? These thoughts are the building blocks of our emotional experience. Sometimes these scripts are helpful. They guide us and protect us. Other times, they can lead us down paths of unnecessary pain or anxiety. Recognizing these stories is the first step. This is important because the experiences of narcissistic abuse and organized stalking can deeply impact our mental health. These experiences can distort our reality and sense of self. Cognitive reality is a coping mechanism that helps us reframe these harmful narratives. It is not about denying reality. Instead, it is about finding the most constructive and truthful interpretation within our mind. This choice can be incredibly healing. This process of reframing is a skill. Like any skill, it takes practice. It requires courage to pause and reflect in the middle of an impactful situation. By changing the narrative, we can change our emotional weather. We can move from a place of impulsive reaction to a place of thoughtful response. So, how can choosing a frame help in dealing with the psychological impact of narcissistic abuse and organized stalking? Let's break it down simply. Cognitive refers to our thoughts. Reappraisal means to assess something again or differently. Therefore, cognitive reappraisal is the process of changing our thoughts about a situation. When we do this, we change our interpretation and retain our personal power. This, in turn, changes the emotional impact the situation has on us. It is like choosing a different frame for a picture. The picture itself doesn't change, but only the way that we choose to see it. But the frame can dramatically alter how we perceive it. It is a conscious choice that builds emotional intelligence. We are actively involved in this process. We are not passive victims of our circumstances or our initial thoughts. Instead, we become active participants in crafting our emotional landscape. This is a powerful concept. It means we have agency over our inner world. We can learn to manage our emotional responses. This is not about being emotionless. It is about experiencing emotions in a healthier, more balanced way. It is about understanding them. This technique is a form of emotional regulation. We all regulate our emotions in different ways. Some ways are healthier than others. Cognitive reappraisal is considered a very adaptive strategy. It is about finding a more empowering truth. Let's make this more concrete with some everyday examples. Imagine you receive a message from someone who has been manipulating you. Your initial thought might be, "They are trying to control me again." This thought can lead to feelings of helplessness and frustration. It can ruin your day. You might start to doubt your ability to break free from their influence. This is a common automatic negative thought pattern. Now let's apply cognitive reappraisal. You pause. You notice the anxious feeling. You identify the thought. "They are trying to control me." Then you challenge it. Could there be other reasons for their behavior? Perhaps they are projecting their own insecurities. Maybe they are dealing with their own issues, or they simply want to provoke a reaction. By considering these alternative explanations, the emotional sting lessens. The anxiety might not disappear completely, but it becomes more manageable. Here's another example. You notice someone seems to be following you. Your immediate reaction might be fear or paranoia. Using cognitive reappraisal, you could reframe the situation. This shift in perspective can diffuse fear. How do we actually engage in cognitive reappraisal to mitigate the effects of narcissistic abuse and organized stalking? It is a skill that involves a few key steps. The first step is awareness. You need to notice when you are having a strong emotional reaction. Recognize that your thoughts are driving this emotion. Pay attention to your internal state. What are you feeling? What thoughts just went through your mind? This mindfulness is crucial. Without awareness, you cannot intervene. The second step is to identify the specific thought or interpretation. Pinpoint the story you are telling yourself. Write it down if that helps. For example, if you feel anxious about an upcoming interaction with a narcissist, the thought might be, "I am going to be manipulated." Be as specific as possible. The third step is to challenge that thought. Question its validity. Ask yourself, what is the evidence for this thought? What is the evidence against it? This is where you actively search for alternative interpretations. Practice this regularly. Why it works. The gentle power of a new perspective. Cognitive reappraisal is effective because it targets the root of many emotional disturbances, our thoughts. Our brains are constantly trying to make sense of the world. They create narratives to explain events. When these narratives are negative or unhelpful, they trigger negative emotions. By changing the narrative, we change the emotional outcome. It is like changing the input to a system. If you change the input, you change the output. Scientifically, cognitive reappraisal engages the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of our brain responsible for higher-level thinking. It is involved in decision-making and emotional regulation. When we reappraise, we are using this more evolved part of our brain. We use it to modulate activity in the amygdala. The amygdala is often called the brain's fear center. It is involved in processing strong emotions. Reappraisal helps to calm the amygdala's alarm signals. The benefits are numerous. Reduced stress is a major one. By reframing stressful situations, we lessen their physiological impact. This can lead to lower heart rate and blood pressure. Another benefit is increased resilience. When we regularly practice reappraisal, we become better at coping with adversity. Furthermore, cognitive reappraisal can improve our relationships. It helps us connect with others from a place of curiosity rather than judgment. For those overcoming the trauma of narcissistic abuse and organized stalking, adopting a new perspective can be transformative. Cognitive reappraisal allows survivors to reframe their experiences, reducing the emotional burden. This gentle power of a new perspective can lead to healing and empowerment. A world apart, reappraisal versus the deception of gaslighting. It is crucial to understand that cognitive reappraisal is fundamentally different from gaslighting. They might both involve changing interpretations of reality. However, their intent and impact are polar opposites. Cognitive reappraisal is an internal process. It is something we do for ourselves. It is about empowering ourselves to find healthier perspectives. It is about taking ownership of our own emotional well-being. The goal is self-healing and personal growth. Gaslighting, on the other hand, is an external manipulation. It is something someone else does to you. The gaslighter intentionally tries to distort your reality. They want to make you doubt your own perceptions, memory, or sanity. Their goal is to gain power and control over you. Gaslighting undermines your confidence. It makes you question yourself. It is a form of emotional abuse. It is harmful and destructive. Cognitive reappraisal validates your initial emotional experience. It acknowledges that you feel what you feel. It seeks to find a more constructive understanding for your emotions, especially in the context of narcissistic abuse. Recognizing this difference is vital for your mental health and recovery. Calm amidst chaos. Reappraisal over emotional impulsivity. Emotional impulsivity is another pattern that cognitive reappraisal helps us manage. Emotional impulsivity is when we act on strong emotions without thinking. We react quickly, often in ways we later regret. It might be lashing out in anger. It could be making rash decisions when feeling anxious or sad, or it could be engaging in risky behaviors to escape uncomfortable feelings. This impulsivity often leads to more problems. It can damage relationships and create further stress. Cognitive reappraisal offers a powerful alternative to this reactive cycle. It introduces a pause, a crucial moment between the emotional trigger and our response. In that pause, we have the opportunity to think. We can examine our interpretation of the situation. We can consider the potential consequences of an impulsive action. This deliberate thought process helps us choose a more considered and constructive response. It allows us to act from a place of wisdom, not just raw emotion. Cognitive reappraisal helps to prevent these situations. By changing the initial interpretation that fuels the intense emotion, the urge to act impulsively lessens. It empowers us to respond to life's challenges with greater calm and clarity, especially when dealing with the effects of narcissistic abuse and organized stalking. Strength from within. Building resilience through reappraisal. Consistent practice of cognitive reappraisal does more than just manage momentary distress. It builds long-term emotional resilience. Resilience is our ability to bounce back from adversity. It is our capacity to cope with stress, trauma, and challenges. It is not about being untouched by difficulty. It is about navigating through it and emerging stronger. Cognitive reappraisal is a key tool in developing this inner strength. It helps us adapt. Each time we successfully reframe a negative thought, we strengthen our mental muscles. We learn that we are not at the mercy of our initial reactions. We discover that we have the power to influence our emotional states. This creates a sense of self-efficacy. It builds confidence in our ability to handle whatever life throws our way. This belief in our own coping abilities is a cornerstone of resilience. Over time, reappraisal can become a more automatic process. We start to catch negative thought patterns earlier. This increased resilience has far-reaching benefits. For individuals overcoming the long-term effects of narcissistic abuse and organized stalking, cognitive reappraisal can be transformative. It helps them reframe their experiences, reducing the emotional impact of past traumas. This process fosters a sense of control and empowerment, crucial for healing and moving forward. Healing the mind. Crafting a kinder reality. Ultimately, cognitive reappraisal is a profound tool for healing the mind. It empowers us to rewrite the narratives that cause us pain. We learn that our interpretations are not fixed truths, they are stories, and stories can be revised. This realization alone can be incredibly liberating. It opens the door to a more compassionate and constructive relationship with ourselves and our experiences. Especially after experiencing narcissistic abuse and organized stalking, cognitive reappraisal allows us to take an active role in our own healing. By changing how we interpret situations, we change our emotional reality. This is not about denying pain or pretending difficulties do not exist. It is about finding ways to navigate these challenges with greater wisdom and less suffering. It is about choosing perspectives that support our growth and well-being. When we consistently choose these more adaptive interpretations, we cultivate a more positive inner environment. Our mind becomes a kinder place to live. This technique helps us move away from being victims of our thoughts. It helps us become conscious creators of our inner experience. It is the opposite of helplessness. It is the embodiment of emotional agency. The ability to reframe reality allows us to find meaning even in difficult circumstances.